Wait a minute.
Maisie.
Wait a minute. Their plot's gonna save the world, and you're saying you don't care?
Nah, not really.
Hi, this is Randall here with No Market Media.
And I'm Matt. Today, Randall and I are reviewing the latest movie in the Jurassic World franchise. Today, we're taking a look at Jurassic World Dominion. It stars Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, Isabella Sermon, DeWanda Wise, and original Jurassic Park cast members Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Jeff Goldblum. It is co-written and directed by Colin Trevorrow, who is also known for Jurassic World, Safety Not Guaranteed, and The Book of Henry.
Jurassic World Dominion picks up 4 years after the events of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. We find the world is trying to adjust to living with dinosaurs. But something strange is going on in the Midwest as giant, genetically modified locusts devastate farmers' crops that aren't using seeds provided by Biosyn. Ellie Sattler enlists the help of her old friends Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm to investigate the genetics firm now responsible for all of the dinosaurs in the world. Jurassic World Dominion had about $165 to $185-ish million budget and has already shown good returns overseas, making $55 million and is projected to make $100 million plus in its domestic box office opening weekend. The critics are a little less enthusiastic about this than everyone else. The audience, though, they've given it above average reviews so far.
Nothing in this movie really interests me all that much. I guess I would say that. I wouldn't say this is necessarily a bad movie, but like the story and the things that are happening and like the characters and stuff, I'm not really invested in any of it. It just kind of, it's kind of happening. There's stuff there. But yeah, nothing really like draws me in or really holds my attention in this movie.
It teeters on bad. And I'll talk about that more. You know, for me, I just felt like, this newest entry into the James Bond Indiana Jones franchise had some dinosaurs in it. I just thought that was kind of strange. But I guess the last Indiana Jones film had aliens, so okay. In all seriousness, it feels like a combobulation of other movies put together. We talked about this a little bit with like Jungle Cruise, where it kind of felt like an Indiana Jones-esque mummy thing going on there, and like just stealing plot lines. I mean, this is just stealing from Steven Spielberg films, I guess you could say. But I mean, yeah, Jurassic Park was a Steven Spielberg film too. So, and then I guess there's like they just jump all of these different locations. And I'm like, what is this, a Bond film? And then the villain shows up and he's like this. Originally, I thought Steve Jobs, but then I changed my mind. And I'm like, no, they're actually just making him a Tim Cook. like John Hammond is like Steve Jobs, and this guy's like Tim Cook. They're like the follow up to Steve Jobs.
Yeah,
is like kind of the way I ended up looking at it. And I'm like, my God, he's just a James Bond, like an old James Bond mustachio twirling villain. And it was such a weird feeling for a Jurassic Park / World film.
Yep.
Where the dinosaurs are barely even important. Like the synopsis I said. Really, there's this plot about the locusts being genetically modified and the ecological breakdown of the entire food chain.
Yep.
That was weird.
I'm going on to like your Jungle Cruise like reference and stuff too, on how it's like all these different movies together. At least with like Jungle Cruise, I actually was kind of having fun, or actually was having quite a bit of fun in that movie. This movie, it's just like, it's kind of there. I mean, one or two jokes I was kind of laughing at, but other than that, I don't know that I was really like having fun watching this movie. I'm just kind of sitting there like, all right, this is happening. This is happening.
Yeah. Marvel really changed the landscape for like trying to make everything have to have a punchline.
Yep.
Because if you look at like the original Jurassic Park or The Lost World, yeah, there's a couple of funny lines here and there, but they're not comedies. They're not even close to comedies.
Yep.
Yeah, but now everything's trying to Marvel. Alright, so there's a lot going on in this film plot-wise. So I had already said in the synopsis, like, there's this whole plot of Biosyn making genetically modified locusts, giant locusts, like this size locust guys.
Yep.
And how they don't eat Biosyn provided crop yields, and oh, that's convenient. Obviously, that's on purpose. Then there's this other side plot with Owen and Claire, who are the characters from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and Maisie, they're the clone from that movie Fallen Kingdom. There's that plot line, which is a thing going on. And like I said, what's weird is so they have their thing going on where they have to get Maisie back, and they have to get baby Raptor back. Everyone's got to go for the babies now that Mandalorian had such success with it. Gotta put that'll make me feel. But there's just too much storyline going on. They had to generate an entire extra plot, which became the main plot, just to get the legacy characters back in to make sense.
Yes.
And so I thought there's just a little bit too much plot going on here. Let's just pick one and try and make them make sense together instead of two very separate plots having to make sense together.
Yeah, we are really just kind of like you said, having them apart, and then just when it suits us, let's just put them together. Sometimes someone's doing something, and then they just happen to stumble upon someone else to get all the gang or whatever, the crew, back together. Yeah, I totally agree. The corporation is behind the locust, and also behind the kidnappings and stuff, which they try to connect to. Well, why we kidnapped them also has something to do with the locust. So it's that kind of thing was a little bit weird. But I go back to, I said, what really got me on the storyline is just a lot of the happenstance of people just coming together at sometimes. Some they explain and say all right, this seems like it's happening just because the script says so. But there's actually reason about that. And I don't want to really give away because of one character or whatever. It kind of made sense.
No.
But most of them, the instances where they just happen to be here kind of thing is just whatever.
Now I know exactly what he's talking about, and it is kind of spoilerish to go into, but I thought very much the same thing, and they explain it away with a couple of lines.
Yeah.
But I mean, at least they tried.
Yep.
At least they did explain it away. It's not just left to nothingness. Because I saw this with a couple of friends, and I was like, I don't know why they're trusting this person so intently, But okay. Sure.
Just seemed like a trustworthy type of person.
A very trustworthy type of person. The last thing I would say about the plot is even though it is these two weird plots that somehow come together, at least it does end up making some kind of sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Fallen Kingdom was such a low point for me. I disliked that movie. I had almost forgotten. I literally forgot about the clone, Maisie's character. Because I leaned over to my friend. I was like, wait, there's a human clone? I completely forgot about the human clone from Fallen Kingdom.
I'll admit, I never saw Fallen Kingdom, so to start off this movie...
Not missing anything.
That's what I've been told, but yeah, I'll have to admit, as someone who hasn't seen it, I was a little bit lost going into this movie, even though, they start everything by explaining where we're at in the movie.
Don't worry, they end everything that way too. But yeah, it does end up making some sense by the end. So I will give the writers credit for making something out of this messed up plot.
So with the characters, much like the story, I sadly don't really care. It's kind of you know what? I was happy for the legacy characters, and I like the legacy characters, but I guess I don't really care as much about what they're doing in this film, or what's really happening. But, and even our Jurassic World characters, I'm not. I mean, other than Maisie.
Wait a minute. Their plot's gonna save the world, and you're saying you don't care?
Nah, not really. But as looking at characters, Maisie's the only character I think that actually has any real growth or anything, or in this one changes a little bit.
She's a teenager who's out of a rebellious streak to her, and she's decided now after this traumatic experience, you know what? I have a good family, even if they're not my family.
Mm-hmm.
And she has some like closure to her existence.
Right.
Yeah, Maisie's a good character.
Maisie's a good character.
There's a better character though. I'll get to the other stuff, the other characters, but there's a better character. I really like the new character of this pilot.
Yep.
You know, she's a fun character to watch every time she's on screen. She's a fun character, and she makes some of the better, like, yeah, this is how a realish person might act to this. She even at one point in this film, I swear, this can't be coincidental. She just says, "Nope," and runs the other way. And I'm like, man, there's a movie coming out from Jordan Peele called Nope. Interesting.
Yep.
But like, yeah, I thought some of the like new characters are, even though it's an overstuffed cast, were at least kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I would say that she has like the most personality out of all of them. Maisie maybe has the most emotional in it, and as a character that's kind of over the top as Dr. Malcolm, you know. I think those three characters actually show the most personality and interactions, and a lot of like the jokes or funny parts is, like you said, we get from either the pilot, like her reaction to what's happening, or with, you know, like Dr. Malcolm, especially near the end of the movie, some of the jokes that he's pulling.
You made a promise to a dinosaur.
Yeah. What?
For me, the getting back to the main cast for all intents and purposes, they're kind of like the weird saving grace of the film for me. I don't necessarily care about them. The producers of this movie, the makers, the writers, they are not going to kill off main characters.
Yeah.
Okay? Any peril they're in is never legitimate enough to make me care.
Yep.
You know? It just isn't. So you can't scare me. I mean, they weren't even brave enough to kill off a side main character early on. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. You know, he's a returning character from the Jurassic World, like the first Jurassic World. Here's the thing, though. I think sometimes when you bring in legacy characters the way they do here, and kind of the way they did in like Ghostbusters Afterlife, this film is made and has such a different tone than the film that it's originally based on, Jurassic Park, or in that case, Ghostbusters, that those characters don't necessarily fit the best. So like, as much as I enjoyed seeing the legacy characters, the Ian Malcolm, Alan Grant, and Ellie Sattler, I'm like, man, the world they came from, the world that was Jurassic Park, is so different from the world this movie takes place in. They just don't necessarily feel like the same characters.
Yep. I 100%. I would say those are probably the two biggest points I would say for me in this movie. The lack of tension with any of the characters in this film at all. And yes, that it's such a different tonal feel than the previous Jurassic Park movies that these characters were in.
So for genre, this has moved very solidly into science fiction and very far away from like the adventure. But like I'm not feeling the awe and the wonder that I'm supposed to feel watching Dinosaurs. I still feel that watching Jurassic Park. When they see the Brachiosaurus for the first time, I'm just like, God, that's still a really cool feeling watching it, even, 30 plus years later.
Yep.
It's awesome, and I don't get that here. This has moved into science fiction.
Yep.
And I know that there's ostensibly always some science fiction in Jurassic Park films, okay, guys? Don't just, hate on it, but like, I think it's moved too far. I felt the same way when we did like Kong versus Godzilla or whichever order that goes in. I don't know. I'm sorry. Where I'm like, it feels detached from the world it's supposed to have set up.
Yeah.
I'm disappointed by the genre actually this time around.
Yeah, I would say 100%. I mean, science fiction, especially with, granted, this was started, I guess, in Fallen Kingdom. I didn't see it, but the cloned human and stuff.
Yeah.
We're going to that and how that connects to, or we can use that with like the locust kind of stuff. Like, we're really going into, science fiction full for that and stuff. I would say maybe a bit of action, because there is action pieces. We have chases, we have things blowing up and going down and stuff. I guess that's what I'll say. But I think because it lacks really the tension, it doesn't. I'm not like super excited during any of these action scenes. And to go on what we said about the feel of like other ones, I would say like maybe like the original Jurassic Park, we had kind of like a little bit of thriller aspect because of that tension, because that was going on, and that is not in this movie at all.
Gone.
I mean, there's maybe one or two scenes where it's almost scratched the surface, like, hey, this could have been something that had a little bit of tension in it, but because everyone's safe in this movie, there is no tension in it.
Yeah. Samuel L. Jackson would have been safe in this movie. The only other thing I'll say about, maybe this will come up like in kind of didn't see that coming. Not for me, but maybe Matt's. I don't know. Is despite its consistent attempts to remind me of the originals, to remind me of, hey, do you remember that scene from Jurassic Park? Hey, do you remember that scene from The Lost World that you really liked? The genres of those films and like why those scenes work in those films, they don't work in this genre.
Yeah, it's almost like we're having callbacks just for callbacks.
It is exactly that.
Well, I didn't really see coming all of the actual like deaths that we have done by the dinosaurs and happening to like bad characters or villains or whatever, all pretty much happening off screen. Everything we see is kind of like the dinosaurs about to do something, and then when the dinosaur like bites to the camera, and then we go to the next scene. Honestly, I'm trying to go back. I think there are only like a couple actual dino eating someone scenes that we actually see on camera, and they're kind of in the background, and the tone kind of plays off. Instead of like, oh no, someone's getting eaten, it's almost borderline like comedy moments, like, oh, there's that little henchman or whatever getting eaten by a T-Rex in the background kind of thing. That's it. But other times when people are about to get bitten or chewed and stuff, that's completely gone. I wonder if they are maybe trying to go towards the younger audience, and that's why. Because I think that's a big thing. Like, they're bringing us in with the legacy characters. Like, oh, we kind of want to see this because we want to see, Grant and Sadler.
That's not
and
enough to get me in the door. Okay? It's not enough to get me in the door. I only watched this movie to do this review. Okay?
But, for kids, I mean, we like dinosaurs too, but I think for kids are really big in like dinosaurs, and they just want to see dinosaurs on screen.
Well, that's okay, because that's exactly what happened. The dinosaurs don't matter to the plot at all. They're just there. Like, the marketing for this movie is heavy on dinosaurs. Come see a film with dinosaurs. And I'm like, this is my didn't see it coming. An entire subplot about genetically engineered locusts just to shoehorn in the legacy characters.
Yep.
I did not see that coming. I thought for sure that they would handle getting the characters together in a way better fashion than they did. The dinosaurs are just here. I mean, even at the end, I mean, the amount of dinosaurs that they're able to revive, like just to put dinosaurs on screen, is stupid. Like, it's dumb. Okay? Just at the end, they're just like, oh yeah, you know what we really need here is we need the T-Rex to do the thing that the T-Rex does.
Yep.
Like, the T-Rex is gonna save somebody by doing something.
Yep.
And it's like, we did that in Jurassic Park. We did that in The Lost World. We did that in Jurassic Park 3 with the Spinosaurus versus the T-Rex. We did it in Jurassic World. I don't remember the end of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom because, like Matt in Batman vs Superman, I've kind of forgotten that, but I know there's some genetically engineered dinosaurs in it. Okay?
I know nothing about Fallen Kingdom except for a volcano. That's really all I know, and that's all I can remember from the old trailers.
So, in conclusion, I left the theater feeling extremely confused about how to feel about this movie. Because, you know what? It's not, like, the worst film, but it's still not a good film. Like, objectively speaking, it's kind of a bad movie, but, I mean, at least the story holds together, blah, 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 and the ending makes sense. And it does have some charm.
Mm-hmm.
like here and there. I enjoy the characters, like, you know, bantering with each other, especially the legacy characters to some extent. But I just full on don't care
Mm-hmm.
anymore about this franchise. I guess maybe that's the saddest thing. I'm just like, yeah, I didn't care that much after Fallen Kingdom, but like really at this point, I'm just dinosaurs on the big screen in this franchise just don't matter to me anymore. That and the dinosaurs look faker than they did in 1993, but that's a whole other topic.
For me, this movie's just kind of there. I think that's the big thing for me. Nothing really excited me. Nothing really got me interested in this movie at all. I was just watching it. And it wasn't one of those, like, I was enjoying my time at all really watching. Like you said, there's some moments here and there that I chuckled at and like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But I wasn't invested in anything that was going on, whether it was the characters, the events that were going on, the story really, even though we're doing one of those like, oh, you know, end of the world almost kind of thing, or end of life as we know it on this world kind of thing. Wasn't really interested in that, and I wasn't a big fan, I guess, of like the Lion King ending or whatever kind of. I guess maybe that's I don't know if that's really a spoiler, but just what they do on that kind of like, yeah. I don't know that I was really a big fan of the things going on.
The way the film ends is solidly on that, like, wow, you have to end this with narration.
Just like we began this film.
To like follow up on all of, to like give any like clarity to the end of your plot lines. That's not good.
No.
That means you didn't explain what's like on screen.
Yep.
How things end. Or I guess they could have.
Mm-hmm.
But they decided not to because the film was already 2.5 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, well, I guess we can make a 3-hour film or a 2-hour and 45-minute film or something like that. But someone at Universal probably told them, no, stop.
So sometimes narration to give your point at the end of the movie works a little bit. I would think of like War of the Worlds. At least that kind of explains, like, oh, this is why the aliens were dying, and this is the message.
It's also based on a book that has like a beginning and ending narration.
Yep.
You know.
This just I wasn't a big fan of the intro narration and the ending narration.
You know, the funny thing about the ending though, since we're all on conclusions anyways, is like, where are all of these dinosaurs coming from? I mean, that's the thing. So we live in a, like, this movie takes place in a world where Jurassic Park existed.
Yeah.
And that's Isla Sorna, right? Or Isla Nublar. Whatever. I think. Whatever. There's Isla Nublar, I believe, is the main park island. And then there's, like, Site B. Isla Sorna or something like that. Like, this is a world where the Lost World happened. This is a world where Jurassic Park 3 is canon.
Yep.
You know, like, those did happen, you know? Now we have dinosaurs all over the world. Like, guys, this was an amusement park on an island.
Yep.
Where are all of these dinosaurs coming from?
They're just going to use the Dr. Malcolm line, you know, life finds a way. That's it.
What? Did dinosaurs have extremely quick gestation periods? Or something? I don't know. Why is there no science in science fiction anymore?
This kind of goes on with like a little bit of the ending too. Sorry, a big spoiler about the ending. But if what the place that they have now is like a sanctuary, like why does that matter?
No, yes.
Why does it matter if dinosaurs are everywhere?
Dinosaurs are everywhere. No, stop. You know what? We should just stop trying to make sense of it. Like, it's one of those films, like, the harder you think about it, the worse it's going to get kind of film. But I said the same thing at the end of this. I was like, wait. So why is there now a sanctuary in the middle of Italy? How is that safer than moving them to an island? Make it make sense.
Yep.
But you know what? Never mind. Don't make it make sense. You let us know what you think about this movie down in the comments. If you've seen Jurassic World Dominion, got a little rambly there at the end, but you know, hopefully you stick with us. Stick with us. We also have other reviews on our YouTube channel. Go check out some other new movie reviews, some old flashback movie reviews, some TV series talks, and some deeper dive discussions.
We also have a Facebook page. Be sure to go check us out there. We post about other reviews that we're working on. We also post on some of our fandoms, trailers, other announcements that are coming out on different movies and TV shows. But if you don't have Facebook, don't worry about it. Just check out our videos on YouTube. We have new reviews that come out regularly. For now, I'm Matt with No Market Media. Have a good day, everyone.
And I'm Randall. See everyone next time.
Next time on No Market Media. Please consider checking out some of our other videos.